Donald Trump storms out of trial after judge denies motion to dismiss case and calls him to the stand to fine him $10,000 for violating gag order for a second time. Internewscast Journal. Donald Trump has stormed out of his $250 million fraud trial after a series of legal blows that saw him fined $10,000. And his request for a directed verdict denied. In a dramatic courtroom outburst Wednesday afternoon, the former president threw his arms up in the air before getting up and leaving in a huff, sending Secret Service agents chasing after him. The abrupt departure came shortly after he had been fined for a second time for violating a gag order and moments after one of his lawyers finished questioning fixer-turned-foe Michael Cohen, who testified that Trump did not direct him to inflate the value of his properties. The admission, which contradicts Cohen's earlier testimony, prompted defense attorney Clifford Robert to ask for a directed verdict, arguing that his statement was grounds for dismissal. Judge Arthur Engoron said it was absolutely denied, and that the case had evidence all over the place. He also said he did not consider Cohen a key witness. There's enough evidence in this case to fill this courtroom, the judge said. Later during redirect, Cohen, who on Tuesday testified that the Trump had instructed him to reverse engineer the value of his assets, clarified that he hadn't been asked specifically to inflate the figures, comparing Trump to a mob boss who makes indirect orders. Time equals 400 ms. greater than at the end of Cohen's testimony. Robert requested a directed verdict again, which was once again denied. The move came at the end of a challenging day for Trump, who was also hit with another fine, this time to the tune of $10,000 after the judge determined comments he made to reporters during a break in the trial violated a partial gag order issued 3 weeks ago. Judge Engoron called Trump to the stand after the lunch recess on Wednesday to explain remarks. Speaking outside the courtroom earlier that morning, Trump had told reporters, "This judge is a very partisan judge, with a person who's very partisan sitting alongside of him, perhaps even much more partisan than he is," an apparent reference to his clerk Allison Greenfield. Trump slowly got up from his seat at a bench between his attorneys and sat in the witness box, adjusting himself before addressing his comments. Time equals 400 ms. greater than repeating his lawyer's earlier claims. Trump told the judge he had been referring to his former fixer who was testifying, Michael Cohen, not Greenfield. The remark about partisans was aimed at you and Cohen, he told the judge, who ultimately found his testimony not credible. Time equals 400 ms. greater than, the idea that that statement would refer to the witness. That doesn't make sense to me, Engoron said. Warning. Don't do it again or it will be worse. Judge Engoron had paused proceedings just before the lunch break to scold Trump for his remarks, calling it a blatant, dangerous disobeyal of his court order. Time equals 400 ms. greater than. Engoron had already ordered all participants in the trial not to comment publicly about his staff in an order imposed on October 3, 5 days earlier. Trump had been fined $5,000 after Engoron learned that an offending social media post from early October had lingered on Trump's campaign website for weeks after being taken down, on the judge's orders, from Trump's Truth social media platform. Addressing the issue again on Wednesday, Judge Engoron said he imposed the order because, "I don't want anybody killed. It was very easy for anyone to know who that person is," the judge said. Judge Arthur Engoron briefly paused the proceedings just before the court broke for lunch Wednesday to scold Trump for publicly speaking out against him and his clerk Allison Greenfield. Left. Wednesday's cross-examination got off to a tense start Wednesday with Trump's lawyer Alina Habba, right, asking Cohen again about his prior convictions with Trump sitting with his defense team. His lawyer Alina Habba confronted his former fixer Michael Cohen with comments he had made praising Trump, before turning on him when Cohen's legal problems started in 2018. Trump's lawyer Christopher Kise responded saying his client had been referring to Cohen, who sat in the witness box to the judge's left. When the judge asked if Trump could explain who he was speaking about, Kise said he had asked him already. Judge Engoron said he thought it meant his law clerk. And seemed clear to me, pointing out there was a physical barrier between him and the witness in the courtroom. The judge said he would take the matter under advisement, and did not rule on whether to issue what he said could be severe sanctions earlier in Wednesday's proceedings. Hava had complained about eye rolls and constant whispering between the judge and Greenfield. Hava said it was incredibly distracting when she was trying to cross-examine Michael Cohen, Trump's former fixer and personal lawyer. Judge Engeron said, "Okay, granted." Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Cohen, who cut ties with Trump 5 years ago, returned to the stand again on Wednesday to undergo further cross-examination by defense lawyers who have sought to undermine his credibility by painting him as a convicted felon and serial liar. The exchange got off to a tense start with Trump's lawyer Alina Hava asking Cohen again about his prior convictions and highlighting his admission that he had perjured himself before a judge when he was prosecuted for tax evasion and other crimes in 2018. Prosecutor Colleen Ferretti said she was concerned, and that the showmanship from Trump's lawyers should not be permitted. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than as Alina Hava, who was cross-examining Cohen, smiled and shook her head. Ferretti said, "I'd ask for courtesy and respect and we proceed without this showmanship of words like perjury." Clifford Robert, another of Trump's lawyers, said that the perjury went to the credibility of the witness and that they plan to talk about other acts of perjury today. A serial liar is a serial liar. The case of Attorney General hinges on his perjurious witness who has lied to everyone he has ever spoken to, he said. Trump was once again reprimanded for violating a gag order imposed by the judge after he was quoted calling the judge very partisan, and the person sitting right beside him perhaps even more partisan than he is in comments made outside the courtroom earlier this morning before testimony could resume on Wednesday morning. Hava complained about eye rolls and constant whispering between the judge and his clerk, Allison Greenfield. Trump, who is not required to attend proceedings, returned to the courtroom on Wednesday to hear the remainder of his former confidant's testimony. Judge Arthur Ngorgan told Robert to not make speeches. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than he said, "I believe that perjury implies a conviction. You want to say he's lying. Say he's lying, but let's not use the word perjury." Tensions flared again moments later when Cohen balked at a question put to him by Hava. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than she shot back. "I'm sure you're going to do that with me every time and I don't care for it." The court was shown Trump's financial statements from 2015 which listed his net worth as $6.5 billion. Lawyers then pointed to Cohen's CNN appearance at the time in which he declared that Trump was worth over $10 billion, even referring to the figure as a low estimate. When asked if he had made those comments in the interview, Cohen replied, "That's what Mr. Trump wanted me to say, yes." Hava snapped back that she was not surprised by his response, saying Cohen was very good at blaming others. The court was shown the interview on CNN in which the interviewer asks, "Why does Donald Trump want to talk so much about how rich he is?" The clip prompted laughter from the court, however. Trump did not appear to react. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Hava asked Cohen if he recognized himself, and he said he did, though he was less gray. The court was shown a section of Cohen's 2020 book titled Disloyal, in which he described getting lucrative contracts from companies like Novartis and AT&T who were desperate for insights and connection to the president. Trump denies any wrongdoing and has claimed AG Letitia James, a Democrat, is targeting the leading Republican presidential candidate in 2024 for partisan reasons. Michael Cohen arrives at former President Donald Trump's civil fraud trial in New York for a second day of testimony. Moving on, Hava asks if Cohen knew Robert Costello, a New York-based lawyer. Cohen repeatedly said he did not. Cohen denied telling Costello, "I swear to God I don't have anything on Donald Trump, and he would do whatever the F*** it takes to avoid jail time." Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Hava turned to Cohen's cooperation with the Attorney General's office and said that she had personally thanked you for being one of the central reasons for their case. Cohen looked at New York Attorney General Letitia James, who was sitting in the public gallery, and said, "You're welcome." Hava said that his comment was telling, and Cohen shot back he was being comical. Haba asked Cohen about why he was never named as a defendant in the case despite claiming to have a central role in the fraud. She said, "The Attorney General must not believe your story is credible." Cohen said, "You're drawing a conclusion I don't know. You can ask Miss James's," from the public gallery. James raised her hand and said, "Object," sparking laughter in court. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Haba then turned to Cohen's comments praising Trump in the past. Cohen agreed he had a very high regard for Trump before they fell out and had a long history of praising him. Haba said, "Your opinion of Mr. Trump was so high you once stated you would take a bullet." To him, Cohen said that it was from an article with Vanity Fair. Cohen also agreed that he once said he was the man who protected the president and his family, and insisted he would never run away from Donald Trump, as Haba put it. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Haba suggested that Cohen became frustrated with Trump while he was in the White House when he did not name him his chief of staff. Cohen scoffed and said he didn't ask for the post and it was a joke because of his closeness to Trump. He asked for and was given the role of personal attorney to the president, he said. New York Attorney General Letitia James sits in the courtroom during the fourth week of trial. James is seeking at least $250 million in fines and a permanent ban against Trump and his sons Donald Jr. and Eric from running businesses in New York. Eric Trump was also seen returning to court on Wednesday for trial proceedings. His father, his brother Don Jr. and the Trump family business are accused of artificially inflating the value of properties. In New York Attorney General Letitia James's civil case against them, the court was shown text messages sent between Cohen and an individual called Person 4 Feet from March 2017 in which they discussed who would be the next chief of staff. Person 4 said that Ivanka Trump and her husband Jared Kushner would be too close to Trump. Cohen said, "Keep guessing, dopey," Person 4 wrote. "Stop. You." Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Cohen said, "I will give you a hint." Yes. Person 4 said, "OMG. Please be true. Are you serious? You need to." Cohen said, "He needs to ax." "I would never axed about the exchange." By Haba. Cohen said he was happy with the job he got and there was no shame in being personal attorney to the president. Judge Arthur Engoron presides over former President Donald Trump's civil business fraud trial at New York Supreme Court. Haba turned to Cohen's finances and said that after the election he set up a consultancy company to cash in on his relationship with Trump. The court was shown a section of Cohen's 2020 book titled Disloyal, in which he described getting lucrative contracts from companies like Novartis and AT&T who were desperate for insights and connection to the president and willing to pay for my assistance. Cohen wrote, "Was I cashing in on my relationship with Trump? Of course I was. What would you do?" Haba asks, "You launched a personal company known as Essential Consultants LLC as a way to cash in on your relationship with the President of the United States." Cohen said, "That's not correct." Haba asks, "Did you use this company to accrue lucrative clients?" Cohen said, "Insights and connections, yes." Yet Cohen confirmed that he received more than $4 million in payments to his consultancy company. Haba turned to Cohen's feelings towards Trump and asked if he had significant animosity towards President Trump. He replied, "Do I have animosity towards him? Yes, I do." Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Trump, sitting 15 feet away at a table with his lawyers, did not react. Haba asks if Cohen vented his animosity on social media. He confirmed he did use social media, but alone it was not enough to express all my animosity towards his former boss, prompting laughter in the court. Time equals 400 Ms. greater than Cohen laughed when Haba asks if he continued to financially benefit from Trump. But he conceded he had, as Haba put it, made a career out of publicly attacking President Trump. Haba continued her assault on Cohen by asking, "President Trump makes you relevant, doesn't he, Mr. Cohen?" Cohen responded that, "Circumstances make me relevant," walking towards Trump and stabbing her finger into the air. Haba said, "The circumstances that you used to work for the President of the United States, who is the single most important presidential candidate in this world." After an objection she moved on. Hava showed the court Cohen's deposition given to a Congressional Intelligence Committee in February 2019. In the deposition, Cohen was asked if Trump or former Trump Organization chief financial officer Alan Weisselberg directed him to inflate the numbers on his financial statements. Cohen responded at the time, "I'm sorry, did he ask me to inflate the numbers? Not that I recall." Hava asks, "Were you being honest in front of the Permanent Select Committee when you testified on February 28, 2019? Cohen said, "No." Hava said, "So you lied under oath, is that your testimony?" "Yes," said Cohen. Taking the stand on Tuesday, Cohen testified that Trump arbitrarily inflated the value of the Trump Organization's real estate assets to secure favorable insurance premiums. He told the court he doctored financial statements so the property values matched whatever number Mr. Trump told us. The insider testimony could bolster New York Attorney General Letitia James's argument that Trump, his company and several of its executives inflated property values. The case could break up Trump's business empire. Trump, the frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, has denied wrongdoing and defended the valuations of his properties, calling the case a fraud and a political witch hunt.